Tonight on the Night Team. 4 people were shot and injured at a Clarksville apartment party, the youngest just 15 years old.
It's kind of crazy to me, honestly, that 15-year-olds can get caught up in stuff like that.
Police now calling on witnesses to come forward. Plus, Steve Lawson guilty on all charges. The first trial in the case of Crystal Rogers' death and disappearance.
We're getting closure finally.
We're now looking ahead to the trial for the man police say is responsible. And later, the man killed in the Washington County EF2 tornado has now been identified. More than a
It appears to be somewhat of a shootout. So we're thankful. This could have been a lot worse.
A shooting at a Clarksville apartment building leaves 4 people injured, one as young as 15 years old. Now police are working to piece together what happened this early this morning. Thanks for joining us here on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. Police say the shooting happened overnight in an apartment complex party. WHAS11 Night Team's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Aspen Hester spoke to residents today who are still reeling from the shooting.
And then I hear like people screaming, running down, and
Seeing a whole bunch of kids running and jumping over stuff.
Chaos early Saturday morning.
There was a person saying, "Oh, I've been shot, I'm bleeding."
Shots at the Bend Apartments.
Do you know how many shots were fired? Any estimate?
A lot. It's a miracle that that we don't have fatalities. We don't have stuff of this nature happen in Clarksville very often.
Going pop, pop, pop.
The gunshots startled Starla miles awake.
I mean, I don't want to be nowhere where there's gunshots.
4 people between 15 and 20 years old were injured in the shooting. It happened at a party where police say there was drug and alcohol use.
Many of these parents are probably would be surprised to find out their kids were there.
Police estimate 100 people were in and out of the apartment throughout the night. Bullets scattered everywhere, through a side door, even to a vacant apartment.
The balcony at the very top here, that's who held the party. That glass door has already been replaced after it was damaged. You're seeing a picture of that damage now. Now, police say the woman who lives here actually works at the apartment complex, and that news has a lot of neighbors surprised that she would hold these types of parties.
Neighbors say this isn't the first party at that apartment.
And I usually do see like kids a lot. I usually do see them up there, and they're usually not that rowdy.
Chief Walls says kids in Clarksville have been the department's biggest threat.
We've got 15-year-olds out here running around with guns. They're reckless, and parents need to get a hold of their kids.
Police have 2 suspects identified and confiscated 2 guns.
I mean, who's to say it can't happen to my next door neighbor, or the people living underneath me?
But after this shooting,
the walls here are pretty thin, enough to be soundproof, but definitely not bulletproof.
It puts into question the home, community, and lifestyle of the luxury Bend apartments for some residents. With photojournalist Aspen Hester, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
Police are still asking witnesses to come forward to give details of the night as they continue to figure out what could have led to the shooting. If you have any information, you can call Clarksville Police. That number is 812-288-7151. And here in Louisville, a man is dead after being shot in the Portland neighborhood Friday night. This happened around 10:40 last night near Flans Avenue and 34th Street. When officers arrived, they found a man who had been shot. He did die at the scene. Officials say there are no known suspects at this time, and the LMPD homicide unit is leading this investigation. Anyone with information about this case can call the anonymous tip line. That number is 574-LMPD. It was an emotional end to the first trial in Crystal Rogers' death and disappearance, a decade in the making for the town of Bardstown, Kentucky. Yesterday, Steve Lawson was found guilty of his role in the killing of Crystal Rogers. It only took the jurors in Bowling Green 2 hours and 23 minutes to find Lawson guilty. Longtime former Nelson County Detective John Snow, emotional outside of the courtroom you see here yesterday, feeling a moment of relief, hugging people. He was there from the beginning, finally finally seen the first round of justice. The jury gave Steve Lawson the recommended sentence of 17 years out of a possible maximum of 25 years in prison. He was found guilty of conspiracy to commit the murder of Crystal Rogers and tampering with evidence in the case. Yesterday, WHAS 11 News legal analyst Nick Mudd of the Mudd Law Group told us they've got a good case for an appeal since defense attorney Darren Wolf early on said he wasn't ready, only joining the Lawson case last August after Lawson fired his other attorney.
There is 400,000 pages of discovery, over 200 hours of interviews. If you work nonstop for a year on a single case, I don't know if you'd be able to review it all.
Lawson will be officially sentenced in August. For the residents of Bardstown, this verdict brings relief.
I was real pleased.
Everything that, we've all dreamed about of this coming to fruition in justice for Crystal, and then it's right there in front of you in breaking news.
We're getting closure finally for the case because it's been such a big eyesore on the town.
This trial is an important result for the family of Crystal Rogers. To this date, we still don't have a motive for her murder. But the next trial, starting Tuesday, June 24th, could finally bring an end to this tragedy for the Ballard family. Joseph Lawson is charged with the same 2 counts as his father, Steve: conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence. We heard part of Joseph's alleged involvement in the case, his father claiming Joseph called him and requested help moving Crystal's car from the Bluegrass Parkway. And the chief suspect, Brooks Houck, will be tried with Joseph Lawson. Houck was Crystal Rogers' boyfriend at the time of her disappearance. The state is going to try and convince a jury that Houck is the main man behind Crystal's murder. He is also charged with tampering with evidence. You can hear more from Nick Mudd as he breaks down this trial, and we look ahead to the next trial on our Crystal Rogers digital special. That's right now on WHAS 11 Plus. Our reporters also give the details from being inside that courtroom. You can watch on the free WHAS 11 Plus app. You can download it for free on your TV. The ACLU has dropped a lawsuit challenging Kentucky's abortion ban. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of a pregnant Louisville woman called Mary Poe to protect her privacy. The lawsuit claims that Kentucky laws blocking abortions violate the woman's constitutional rights to privacy and self-determination. This week, the ACLU moved to dismiss the lawsuit, but did not give a reason for seeking to drop the case. Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman called the dismissal a win for pro-life laws. Meanwhile, the ACLU says they will be strategizing their next steps. And new tonight, Congressman Morgan McGarvey held a town hall today to discuss how the Trump administration is targeting Social Security. Trump's Department of Government Efficiency has made deep cuts to the Office of Social Security Administration. DOGE has also requested access to sensitive Social Security data, which they say will allow them to root out waste and fraud. However, McGarvey, along with the former head of the Social Security Administration, said these cuts and demands have only made it more difficult for seniors to access their benefits, pushing back against claims the system is broken.
It's popular because it actually works, and we're Americans. We kind of like things that work. If we pay our taxes and we earn our benefits, we expect it to work, and that somebody will answer the phone for us.
McGarvey says there are nearly 150,000 people in Louisville who receive Social Security benefits. The European Commission is preparing its response after President Trump announced he will be doubling the tariff on steel imports. The president announced this increase as he touted a, quote, blockbuster agreement for Japanese company Nippon Steel to purchase U.S. steel. Here's ABC's Dave Packer with the latest.
The world reacting to President Trump announcing he would be doubling the 25% tariffs on steel imports he imposed back in March.
We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States.
The president posting on social media that those increased tariffs will go into effect June 4th. The European Commission reportedly slamming the move, saying it strongly regrets the president's decision and that this undermines efforts to reach a deal in the ongoing trade war. The EU also warning of possible countermeasures. The United States Steelworkers Union in Canada calling the tariffs a direct attack on Canadian jobs, saying it would completely shut us out of the U.S. market, calling for an immediate and forceful response from the Canadian government. President Trump announced this tariff increase during a rally in the steelmaking city of Pittsburgh as he touted the deal for Japan-based Nippon Steel to purchase U.S. steel.
This steel industry is really important here at the Mon Valley. It's not just for the steel workers, but there's thousands of jobs at stake here. And I'm hoping that it's going to be a good deal.
All this comes amid a week of legal back and forth over President Trump's tariffs. On Wednesday, the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled Trump had exceeded his presidential powers because only Congress can levy tariffs. But an appeals court then ruled the tariffs could continue as the legal process plays out. This issue is likely to end up at the Supreme Court. Dave Packer, ABC News, New York.
Back here locally, another Democrat is trying to win back one of Louisville's most powerful positions from the Republicans. Kentucky State Senator David Yates is now running for a different position. Yates announced his bid for Jefferson County Clerk and launched a website for his campaign. Yates is a former Louisville Metro Council member and was elected to the Kentucky Senate in 2021. He just won re-election in 2024. Now, if he is elected, he would leave his Senate seat vacant for the rest of his term. Yates will have a formal campaign launch June 9th with former Congressman John Yarmouth and current Congressman Morgan McGarvey both supporting him. The Republicans have held that office for 36 years. And it appears someone has tried to cut off the arm of the York statue on the Belvedere. Sculptor Ed Hamilton shared these photos with WHAS 11, and according to Hamilton, Public Works was able to quickly handle the issue and secure the statue, which is now surrounded by plywood. They've also added extra security. Now, this is the second statue of Hamilton's that has been vandalized. Someone stole Abe Lincoln's hat on the waterfront just under a year ago.